Ta-da-da! You have reached the Lily channel. I'm Lily, the host of this fantastic YouTube channel, and I love to find people to interview who've got a really interesting background. And I happen to be friends with Keith Hardy here, who was talking with me at a sort of a networking party slash boat cruise for Power Talk seminars. And it turned out that Keith was really interested in training people on soft skills. Keith Hardy, welcome to my channel.
Thanks so much, Lily. So happy to be here.
I really appreciate you being willing to be interviewed. I'd rather just call it a conversation, really. Soft skills, in case people are wondering what soft skills are, because that's what today's topic is. How would you describe it?
Soft skills would be, I find it two ways. Number one is the interpersonal communication, how you as an individual connect with other individuals and other people as a group. And then also soft skills, and this is a definition I've landed on just because of the coronavirus pandemic that we've been dealing with since 2020, is how you relate to yourself to help you people. So I look at it in two ways.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I would say the lens from, especially from human resources employees, those who do the usual initial interviews before it moves over to the managing group, definitely looking for how is this person going to relate to others in my organization or in this department? How are they going to fit in with all these other people? And then again, just leaning on the pandemic, managers looking at how's this person, how has this pandemic impacted them, and they're listening for cues. I'm more empathetic. Some of the top details we'll get into, but
yeah, makes sense.
Are looking for that in interviews now, I would say.
Yeah, ability to relate to other people. Weren't you in the school board, or are you still?
I served for 8 fantastic years in the St. Paul, Minnesota school board. Yes, it was a great time in my life.
Oh my goodness. What do you do on the board? Or what did you do?
So basically, the official definition for school board directors, as we're
Yeah.
called, our official work is to make policy. That's what we tell them. We make
Okay.
policy. On the path to making policy, we are talking with, of course, the superintendent of the school district, and in my case, and then all of the administrative leaders. I'm talking with the principals and assistant principals and the building leaders in each school, finding out, what can help you better educate our students, because that's our main focus. How can we continue to provide good education to our students and improve that education so that they're ready when number one, if they can graduate high school in time, and then do post-secondary choice that they make. Most go to post-secondary education in some capacity. Some go right into the workforce. Some go to military service. Our role is to make sure our schools prepare them to be the best person it can be as they move on from graduating from 12th grade. That's in a nutshell.
Does it help the school to be more efficient in what it was intended to do as far as educating and getting their mission accomplished?
Yes. And that, I would say to everyone, is where I got my postgraduate learning because there are a lot of policy for it.
It makes sense. I mean, the practical application of everything you've been studying and practicing, it's amazing. And I do remember you also talking with me about Zoom chats that were happening during COVID and seeing people who were somewhat disengaged. Now, what event or what happened that made you think, God, I'd love to train people on soft skills?
That goes back to my career with Burlington Northern Railroad. I joined Burlington Northern Railroad in my senior year at the University of Texas, Arlington, in communications. And I had a fantastic manager and director, and they both were great at connecting with people, but I wasn't thinking of that as a college senior, obviously, oh, I should get these soft skills.
Yeah.
Well, interviewing skills and how to, for my case, how to listen to these longtime railroad industry employees, engineers and conductors and people who worked in train yards and people who worked in the office, and how
Hmm.
to tell their story by trying to relate to them, even though I didn't have that kind of life. I didn't know anything, about trains other than seeing them on TV or in a train yard in my South Carolina home. So anyway, so that was the beginning. And then once they transferred me to Minnesota, so this is how I came to Minnesota,
Ah.
for Burlington Northern Railroad, I was in what was called information systems, then now called information technology, IT. And my job was to write user guides to
Hmm.
help long-term employees move from their manual systems to all these new online, computer-based systems that my department at Burlington Northern Railroad was creating. So that's huge soft skills needed. And what I
Wow.
course is my manager said, hey, so we not only write these user guides, we've been asked to do the initial training. So basically
Mm.
document that I created in my little corner as a writer. I was super introvert. Go in front of 5 to 10 people who are my elders and be able to walk them through this document that I wrote. This
Ah.
is how you log onto a computer. This is how
Hmm.
you XYZ program. So one example was we moved all of the train, the computations, which are all done by on physical spreadsheets and
Hmm.
paper ledgers for decades and decades. So we moved that to a computer-based program so that people can type in that information. What we know now, most of us take that for granted now. In 1989 and 1990, that was way new way to do business.
Yeah.
So that's where I began to see the importance of I need to be able to relate to people who might be nervous
Hmm.
or inexperienced dealing with this computer. That was very scary. My mom
Yeah.
comfortable with even a typewriter, let alone a computer. And so I had to be able to help those people feel comfortable and competent. And
Yeah.
that's again, I didn't think about it as soft skills. It wasn't presented to me that way by my manager, but that's basically what it was. Looking
Yeah.
back,
Yeah. That's so
that's
interesting. So yeah, I was a supervisor in the food industry for a while, and yeah, it was a good example for me of need to be really patient with people who've never dealt with marketing food or other products. And I hadn't marketed it before. I mean, I dealt with it, but I hadn't gotten it ready for retail, hadn't explained how to use it, and or even the food safety part of it as to, okay, this is how you need to clean your cart to make sure that you don't get busted for not being clean enough. And just, yeah, you see the look of terror in people's eyes as to, I have to do what?
that's
Thinking it's all right. Like where you said having empathy. I think that's what you were saying, that people talk to me about empathy.
yeah, empathy. And I tell you, I give you some more recent examples too. And empathy is just the ability to feel what other people are feeling at the time, and you may not agree, know where they need to get to. So they're at this point, you need to get them, this point. But being able to be patient enough, have the right tone of voice or tone in your writing, if you're writing something to them, to help them move from point A to point B. And it may just be to move through life. When you
Hmm.
have friends in your social circle and they're dealing with some heavily emotional aspect of their life, some incident that may have happened, some feelings they're dealing with, or
Yeah.
as we people who are uncomfortable learning something new in their job, which is a big part of my focus, and know they need to do this for their job to stay employed. But then they bring all their isms, I failed in the past, or somebody
Ah, yeah.
barked at me in the past, or somebody maybe belittled me in the past. And so to be able to feel where they are right now, and to work with that to get them to wherever you need them to be in the future, in the near future, and in the beyond future, if you will.
That is so spot on true. I tell you, that's one thing I have noticed is that I think the core of the teaching of the empathy begins in having the best intentions for the person in your mind and
Mm-hmm.
thinking, okay, we are equals. I want to help you. We all have something to teach each other because that comes out in our facial expression, in our body language, and in our tone. And it just, have you ever had somebody relate to you, or shall we say, not being able to relate to you and make you feel small or make you go, oh, I can't wait to train people on this so that to rid myself of the memory of XYZ having happened or
Yeah, it's definitely, and definitely, even in some recent positions I've had, in my jobs, where someone comes in, they've have a lot of experience in my particular department, and I'm the newbie. I get hired because I've been working as a contract project manager since the pandemic started. So I come in new to the company, new to the department, and there are people who are patient, people I know I can go to, and I have those little itty bitty questions. How do I do this again? Where do I
oh
find this?
yeah, yeah.
Press and all of that. And then you have people who are like, oh, I'm not comfortable asking them because they're gonna, in their tone of voice, like like that. How come you don't know this already? Even if they don't say that, they just
Yeah.
that way, and or they're just impatient. And for me, and I've gotten better at just saying what I need. Okay, I need you to slow down, please. I need you to
Mm.
and I give you a very real world example that many people who are watching us probably deal with, and that's people you call at a help desk. Oh my goodness, Lydia. I can tell ones who have great soft skills,
Yeah,
friendly voice, and yeah, let me repeat that. Let me slow down
that's so
that
true.
or slowly write it down. I had an issue recently at Wells Fargo where I was working, and I just was struggling, and I called this help desk person, called help desk, and this gentleman answered, and he was so impatient. He was like, "Yeah," and he would repeat the steps, like there were 7 steps, step one, da da da, step two, da da da, it's
Oh,
going fast.
jeez.
I'm like, no, 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 I need you to slow down and please wait for me to confirm. All right, I got it, because I'm,
Ah,
but a lot of people don't have that I call it the inner strength to say, hey,
yes,
please
yes.
slow down. Would you repeat that? They'll just take it and take it like I need to keep up. And then they feel bad and they get frustrated and they don't get it done right when they hang up the phone. So that's a huge that's actually one department I want to train people. I want to train
Mm.
every help desk there is, because when you get a good person on the other end of that phone or even the online help, and you can tell they're patient and they understand and they've been there before, learning what you need them to teach you now, versus those who are impatient and belittling and why are
Do
you how come you don't notice already? So yeah, that's huge. That is so
do
huge.
you realize you could be uh, employed for the rest of your employment life to being a soft skills consultant for help desks? Oh my goodness. Hello, companies out there. This is one reason I'm doing the interview because Keith is too dynamic to not be utilized for his skills and be rewarded for such. Just that is so true.
Right.
It's,
Yeah. And people have, I would say I haven't looked at any kind of official studies or data that proves this, or interviewed people myself. I sense because of what we needed to do at the beginning of the pandemic, when we were all isolated in our homes and not able to get out in public comfortably and all of that, I think in general people have gotten better about, hey, this is what I need right now. I need to go and get some groceries. How do I do that safely and navigate, wear masks and all of that? So everything that we've had to do when we pretty much were on our own, I think
yeah.
that's advocates for themselves. But I can still sense in my work environment, I can tell people who are still a little, what would be stereotypically described as mousy,
Mm, yeah.
uh, their voice and asking for what they need, and they just go along to get along, and and so I my empathy and my soft skills have taught me to look for that kind of person.
Yeah.
Then on the controversy, which might sound a little strange to some of the viewers, I also look for the people who have the hard edge, because what happened to a lot of people,
Ah.
probably you've noticed this, a lot of people became, some, not a lot, but some people became harder during the pandemic. Oh, whether they're fighting against the changes of the rules that had to be,
Mm.
or they're just tired that their lifestyle got flipped upside down,
Oh yeah.
the years and everything about that. So, oh, I'm going to fight this. I'm going to push back. And because I used to be that kind of person. And so I know I did it because it was a way to protect myself. I
Oh.
wouldn't have been when I was that way. I was like, nope, I'm right. You're trying to put me down or put me slim me and all of that.
Oh.
Uh, what I realize now in my 2020 hindsight that we all develop with age is that no, I was scared, and that's how
Mm.
exist my scaredness or my nervousness is came across strong and bluffy, big Billy Goat Gruff and all of that, from that storyline. So, anyways, and then I find a way to say I will sort of sidle up with that person. I say, yeah, I understand how you feel right now. Is there something I can do to help you with whatever it might be, so whatever issue it might be, and then use that tone of voice. And so they know I'm not coming at them, judging them for being hard edged. But
Yeah.
right now, is there something I can do to help you right in this situation or whatever your question might be? And then they'll open up too. So that was a little harder because many of us can't handle it when people are blustery or
Yeah.
angry or strong voice, strong tones, or whatever it might be. But those people, they need help too. People like that need help too. So
And it's yeah, and I have learned the hard way in the past also that what doesn't help as much is if I were to say, "Well, you seem sort of nervous, let me help you." Because usually, or should we say about probably half the people I've experiencing, oh, I'm not nervous. What do I expect them to say? It's better to, I think, to take the approach of, I understand this is tough, blah blah blah. The empathy part of it, right? Instead of making the observation of what they might look like, because then they might feel self-conscious.
yep, yep, definitely.
The With ADHD, you learn all sorts of interesting things about how to be more observant or to read people better. In my case, I'm going, okay, you can observe it without having to say it.
Yes, yes,
I,
exactly.
Now, what would be the ideal industry for you to help before we wrap up here? Like, who could you imagine working with that would make you feel really fulfilled for having helped them, whether it's a specific company or type of industry?
I would say not so much the industry, but the job type. So again, help desk number one, as I mentioned, IT developers and programmers,
Hmm.
because I spent so many years in that field. The nature of the work is I'm alone. I need to work on coding. I'm talking to these business people. They want to see XYZ happen at the end of the day with my finished product. And then I got to go and code and try to break that code and see where all the problems could be to as a developer or the programmer. Sometimes, and I've noticed this as the project manager, when I talk with them, sometimes they're a bit impatient because they already tried this before, and we've told these business leaders you can't do this, and now they ask me the same dang thing. They get frustrated, and that's okay. So I would love to train them. What I would love to train them is in the soft skills. Okay, so I've heard what you requested. Here's my experience when I've tried to create a program or a product or service like that before. We've run into XYZ issues.
Hmm.
Be a way that I can help you to not face that same problem or issue when I finish this. So instead of just going back and grumbling, saying, okay, I have my experience. I know this hasn't worked before. Let me work with this team with what they're supposed to do. The business leader thinks of the ideas, and then help them come up with a product that will work this time, will work better this time. And so that would be the next group I would love to work with, whatever industry that might be. And then I would say I should pick an industry, probably
Hmm.
healthcare.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel in general, many in the healthcare industry have become more empathetic during the pandemic.
Wow.
With I also sense, especially from some of my friends who are particularly nurses, who've
Mm.
been overworked
Oh, yeah.
during, and they've seen so much horrible is what I would say. People who come in and respirators and everything we've heard about in the news that's happened because of coronavirus. Uh,
Mm.
my friends have gotten a harder edge. And so I would love to be able to provide the soft skills training of how do I remain or return to being that soft side of myself. Even though I've seen my 500th patient who's very ill with coronavirus, and then I know that they got here because of choices they made, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
How can I present myself as a nurse, as a physician, as a physical therapist to be even kinder with my new patients? And a lot of that, Lily, I've gotten from watching those who've interacted with my mom
Yes, you're the caregiver. Yeah.
during her dementia journey. I've seen all kinds of personalities. I have been
Yeah. Oh, wow.
very warm toward my mom, extremely warm, personality wise toward my mom, and patient, and especially as she's progressing now through the stages of dementia and repeating, and then she gets combative sometimes because I'm sure in her mind she's getting scared. I understand dementia, and so I'm just watching like her age where she lives right
Hmm.
now, and mostly are chronologically younger people, and so I
Uh,
see the who have the skill just to sit next to her.
oh, jeez.
That's what my mom likes. They sit next to me. Don't stand over me. Like
Oh,
the authority
wow.
next to me. So you're with me. So even I can just see the tension decrease with someone who will sit.
Yeah.
Let's try this, Barbara. Let's try to do that. Barbara, let's try to take your medicine. Let's do that so you feel better. Versus those who
Wow.
her and just recently I was with her on Monday, and I sat in the hallway while one of the aides was getting her dressed. So I want to take her downstairs and outside the building. And so I'm sitting on the floor, and then just like two doors down is the cafeteria where they all eat. And I heard one of the aides yell at one of the other residents,
Oh, wow.
which I learned early in, I can't say I was always good about that, but I learned early in my mom's journey with dementia that really isn't what you want to do. You get frustrated, but
Ooh,
surprised me. And actually, I need to call the executive director today and talk to her about that incident.
wow.
Oh, you can't talk to him like that. Is anybody yelling at my mom like that? So
Wow. Yeah,
but
we'll need
anyway,
to talk after this.
yeah, there's another industry I would love to help.
Wow. Now we do have to wrap up. I just one quick question. Other than hanging out with your lovely girlfriend who I'm honored to be a friend with. Now, what else do you do for fun other than hopping from Toastmaster to Toastmaster Club?
Well, currently, I'm wrapping up hiking in, walking in all 67 Minnesota state parks. I have to get a big goal, and
Ooh.
I have 12 more to get to, and I'll wrap that up by the end of
Ooh.
June. Yeah,
Geez, I don't think I knew that.
yeah. So
Wow.
it's so cool. The state is so beautiful. I could go on and on about that. I also still have an aspiration to be a screenwriter, a movie screenwriter.
Ooh.
Watch movies and spend time with that more when it's not good weather.
Oh,
I'm
that's
so this Saturday I'll be in a 12-hour walk for a fundraising event, and so I like doing that for sure, and pushing my physical limits. Yeah, so
wow.
in happy
Which
hour.
oh, yes, oh yes. Which fundraising event is that for which organization?
For FANS, which stands for Furthering Achievement Through a Network of Support. It's an awesome program through Pillsbury United Communities that has high school students. You join the program ninth grade and you stay with that program. You get mentoring, you learn all kinds of life and job skills. They learn how to be part of the radio program, for example, how to record music,
Mm.
work skills, the mental work skills, programming, and all of that. They get a mentor and other adults, positive adults in their lives. And so this race event, which is runners and main fundraiser for college scholarship money. So when the youth finish the
Hmm.
program in high school, they get, it's not a lot of money, but it's enough to help them
Yeah.
secondary choices. And I've been involved since 1991. It's my heart, my mission. So I love it.
Wow. Now I heard fans. The name is fans, or there was more to it?
FANS is what the acronym goes by, the
Okay.
Furthering Support. So FANS Ultra Races is this Saturday at Lake Normandale. Anybody wants?
Wow. We'll have to get the word out. And Keith Hardy, thank you so much for joining me and talking with me about soft skills and companies out there. Please take note. The best way to get in contact with him will be put in the details section of this episode. Remember to contact the Lily channel or comment below, especially if you've got ideas you'd like to have represented. I'll consider them. And just to know that I do marketing for, or should we say I'm a marketing agent for, especially for veterans and healthcare workers, but others who are just dying for a new set of eyes to look at their company and say, who else has not seen my product? Who else would I market it to? And how? Cool. Thanks, Keith, for your time. Thanks to everyone for watching. Remember to subscribe, please, and hit that reminder bell so you don't miss an episode, and to click like if you liked it. Alrighty, peace out, and see you soon.